We have a history that supersedes music.
Allegedly a romantical thing. It's all right, I'll say alleged, but we know. Yeah, she hit it before Beyonce.
When Jay and them was in there doing basketball boys, you can't tell me Jay didn't see a 14-year-old girl come in the studio and sit on R. Kelly.
Wendy Williams has always been the woman who says it loud when everyone else is whispering. But this time, she didn't just rattle cages. She cracked open an entire vault of buried secrets. We're talking about JayZ, Foxy Brown, and a mentorship that didn't just go sour. It may have shattered her entire career.
It's something that we kind of already thought about anyway, because, you know, Foxy and JayZ work together.
Now, with old clips reemerging and whispers turning into full-blown roars, Foxy Brown's story isn't just resurfacing, it's exploding. And let's just say JayZ and Diddy are absolutely not ready.
So it accuses him girl with Sean Diddy Combs at a house party more than 2 decades ago.
Why did Foxy vanish right when she was owning the charts? Why is JayZ still sidestepping questions from back in the day? And how on earth does Diddy connect to all this? Because honey, once you start digging, it becomes crystal clear Wendy wasn't stirring the pot. She was serving the truth. Before the chaos, before the blacklist, there was just a girl from Brooklyn. A girl with a voice so powerful it stopped grown men in their tracks. Foxy Brown. Real name Inga DeCarlo Fong Marchand was pure fire, with Afro, Indo, and Chinese Trinidadian blood coursing through her veins and New York rhythm in her soul. By 14, she wasn't just promising, she was pulling people into her orbit. Then came that fateful night in 1994, a local talent show, a freestyle, and 2 producers in the crowd, Tone and Poke, the masterminds behind LL Cool J's Mr. Smith. They didn't just like her, they were blown away. She landed on the remix of I Shot Ya, and when LL Cool J heard her verse, he thought it was a man. That's how raw, how bold, how fearless she sounded. When he found out it was a teenage girl, oh, it was a rap. She stayed on that record, and just like that, Foxy was in. By 1996, she wasn't just rising, she was everywhere. Toni Braxton's You're Making Me High remix, Case's Touch Me, Tease Me, and then the moment that defined it all, her duet with JayZ on Ain't No. That track wasn't just hot, it was magnetic. The energy, the chemistry, the heat, it was undeniable. And people noticed. Everyone noticed. Behind the mic, rumors started bubbling. Wendy Williams may not have been the first to whisper it, but she was definitely the first to yell it into the mic. There was something real going on between JayZ and Foxy Brown.
Allegedly a romantical thing. It's all right, I'll say alleged, but we know. Yeah, she hit it before Beyonce.
The industry snickered, but for Foxy, it wasn't a joke. She was young and JayZ, he was 27. What began as lyrics turned into headlines, and their bond became the industry's obsession. For a while, it seemed like they were a power duo. Appearances, collaborations, a tidal wave of cosigns. They made each other look untouchable. Then the music stopped, literally. The collabs vanished, the closeness, gone. JayZ moved forward, and Foxy started to fade. At first, people thought, oh, just another creative split. Maybe that feud with Lil' Kim was the reason. But oh no, darling. That was just the surface. The real tea? This wasn't about music, it was about control. In 2003, Foxy dropped hints, big ones. In her diss track, Let Know, she didn't beat around the bush. She named names, she spilled tea. JayZ? Silent. No diss back, no press statement, just radio silence. That's when everything started crumbling. Suddenly, Foxy's projects got shelved. Her long-awaited album, Il Na Na 2, The Fever, canceled. Label deals, complicated. Her name, blacklisted. She started calling out the big bosses, Lyra Cohen, Diddy, she named them out loud. And people started asking, where was JayZ in all this? He used to be her champion. Why wasn't he speaking up? Rumor had it she knew too much about him, about the underworld rumors, the secret life behind the mogul mask. And JayZ, a man who built an empire on being untouchable, couldn't risk it. So what did he do? Allegedly pulled strings, paid her off, locked her in NDAs, made sure she never got the spotlight again. Because if Foxy ever opened her mouth, she wouldn't just end JayZ, she could take others down with him. And that's where Diddy enters the picture. Because Foxy wasn't just close with Jay, she was in the circle. Diddy, JayZ, the power players. She had seats at their tables, in their studios, at their parties. She wasn't some industry outsider, she was their girl. Until she wasn't. She knew things. not just about JayZ, but Diddy too. And when you put the pieces together, that's when it gets scary. There were whispers of a sex tape, one allegedly involving Foxy, JayZ, and Jamie Foxx. There were claims JayZ made her sign multiple NDAs, and there were rumors Diddy helped bury the tape. Because in this game, secrets are power. And Foxy, she had plenty. Then, poof, she was gone. Not because she chose to disappear, because she was disappeared, silenced, erased, allegedly by the same men who once called her their sister. Fast forward to March 25th, 2024. Federal agents raid Diddy's homes in LA and Miami. They seize phones, find weapons, and suddenly the world realizes Diddy's glossy, puffed up image has been a cover. Lawsuits, accusations, NDAs, hush money, all the same things Foxy once hinted at years ago.
Lawsuit filed by R&B singer Cassie.
Cassie describing the music mogul as a vicious, cruel, and controlling man.
And just like that, her silence doesn't seem like failure. It feels like survival. Because here's what they don't want you to see. JayZ and Diddy have been protecting each other for decades. Public deals, business ventures, award shows, a carefully curated image. If Foxy had dirt on one, she probably had dirt on both. That's why Wendy Williams hit a nerve, because she didn't just say what people suspected, she said what they feared, that if Foxy ever speaks, no filters, no lawyers, no hush deals, game over. But long before we feared what Foxy could say, we should have asked, what did they do to her? By the time the world noticed she was missing, it was already too late. She'd been through hell and back, and the industry painted her as just another difficult diva, too loud, too wild, too unstable. But that was never the truth. She was breaking under the weight of it all, controlled by powerful men, manipulated behind the scenes, and slowly losing herself. In 2000, she checked herself into Cornell University Medical College, not for PR, not for image, for opioid addiction. She said she couldn't perform or record without morphine. It wasn't a party. It was pain, and the timing, it all lines up. The blacklist, the betrayal, the silence, the support, gone. Then tragedy. In 2001, her uncle died in the crash of American Airlines Flight 587. Her family shattered. And Foxy, she spiraled, course canceled, appearances skipped. She began to fade. Again, in 2005, things got worse. She went deaf. Yes, Foxy Brown lost her hearing. Suddenly, the girl who lived by the beat couldn't hear one. She needed a hearing aid, communicated through touch. For a year, she fought in silence. But Foxy, she didn't quit. In 2006, after surgery helped restore her hearing, she tried to come back. She re-signed with Def Jam under JayZ's leadership. She even announced a new album, Black Roses. But guess what? It never dropped. Despite having her voice again, the industry still didn't want her. JayZ and the others, they had moved on. And now she was a risk because she knew everything. She wasn't just a rapper, it was a witness. Foxy wasn't just trying to come back, she was walking through landmines of secrets, betrayal, and the kind of silence that only fear can buy. Because the truth, her career didn't die from bad music or lazy effort. It died because she ran out of protection, and no one was willing to stand beside her anymore. All those men who once called her little sis, they backed away, not out of shame, but self-preservation. Because Foxy had seen too much, heard too much, lived too much. She didn't just witness the rise of icons, she witnessed what they did when the cameras were off. The conversations, the coercions, the cover-ups. And then the media spun their favorite excuse. It was just the beef with Lil' Kim, the perfect distraction. The industry loves a good catfight. Two powerful women, same borough, same era, same genre. It was gold. Foxy dropped Ill Na Na, Kim dropped Hardcore, and the world pitted them against each other like gladiators. Feud of the century, they called it. But nobody ever asked who started it.
It was outside New York City radio station Hot 97 last week. Police say it was Lil' Kim's posse versus friends of Foxy Brown. 5 guns in all, 21 shots fired, and 1 man shot in the back.
Because once upon a time, Foxy and Kim weren't enemies. They went to the same high school. They had mutual friends. They even did a collab together, Total's No One Else remix. The rivalry, it was manufactured, orchestrated, sold. It was never about bars. It was about control. They didn't want unity. They wanted a spectacle. And behind the scenes, executives, labels, and big-name male rappers were pulling the strings. Even Def Jam's then CEO, Lyre Cohen, tried to push a joint album between the two. It would have been historic, but surprise, surprise, it never happened. Because the same people hyping the feud made sure that unity never saw daylight. And when things exploded, they really exploded. February 2001, outside Hot 97. A violent brawl between their entourages, gunshots, blood, headlines, and that became the new narrative. Foxy's unstable, Kim's dangerous. Just two wild women from Brooklyn with tempers. But no one stopped to ask what else was going on with Foxy, because while the world obsessed over the feud, her life was unraveling. Addiction, grief, hearing loss, blacklisting, NDA rumors, and whispers about tapes. But the industry didn't care. The feud kept people entertained and kept everyone else protected. It was the perfect smokescreen. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, Foxy was dropping hints. When she revealed her alleged teenage relationship with JayZ, people flinched, but didn't dig deeper. What if Foxy wasn't the only one? Let's talk Beyonce. The queen of the music world, the wife, the brand, the untouchable. But here's what people forget. In an old 17 magazine interview, Beyonce claimed she met JayZ at 18. Cute story. Except there are receipts. Photos of JayZ and Beyonce on the set of Destiny's Child's No 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 video in 1997. She was 16, and during her Oprah interview, Beyonce said they started dating a year and a half later.
We were friends first for a year and a half before we went on any date on the phone for a year and a half.
That puts her at 17 and JayZ 28. And while the internet tries to excuse it as barely legal or industry norm, let's get real. That's not mentorship. That's grooming with glitter. And Beyonce wasn't the only one. Let's talk about Aaliyah. Everyone knows about her illegal marriage to R. Kelly at 15, but what many don't know or ignore is that JayZ was also reportedly pursuing her. According to insiders like Reggie Wright Jr., the former Death Row exec, Jay was just one of many older men who hovered around Aaliyah in her final years. She was beautiful, young, famous, and surrounded.
We'll expose somebody that we all forget about. Y'all see this picture of JayZ with Aaliyah when she was I forgot about Jay.
JayZ didn't end up with Aaliyah because his then business partner, Dame Dash, got there first. Some say Jay was bitter, others say he just moved on to the next. But the pattern? It never stopped.
When Jay and I was in there doing basketball boys, you can't tell me Jay didn't see a 14-year-old girl come in the studio and sit on R. Kelly's lap.
Even Nas called it out on Wendy Williams' radio show. If JayZ was working side by side with R. Kelly on the Best of Both Worlds album, he had to have seen what was going on. The teenage girls, the vibe, the energy, the truth. But instead of stepping back, he doubled down. He did business. He wasn't blind. He was complicit. This wasn't one messy situation. It was a blueprint, a pattern of older men in power keeping young women close, calling it guidance while pulling strings behind the scenes. And the most chilling part, JayZ has never addressed it. Never filed defamation, never cleared the record, not once, because denying it could open the floodgates. And if Foxy Brown or anyone else ever decided to tell everything, it's not just reputations that would crumble, it's empires. Foxy Brown never got the fairy tale ending, no glossy documentary, no redemption arc, no standing ovation. She didn't disappear because she faded out, she was erased. Because when powerful men feel threatened, they don't argue, they erase. JayZ, the branding king, the image controller, built his reputation on silence and curated success. Diddy, the illusionist, spun power, parties, and polish into a billion-dollar empire. But Foxy? She was the witness, the one who remembered, the one who saw it all, long before the Forbes lists and political photo ops, long before the federal raids and lawsuits. She saw who they really were. She saw how they used their power, especially around girls who didn't know better. Girls too young to know that fame has a price, and sometimes that price is everything. Foxy's exit from the music scene wasn't an accident, it was a strategy. They made sure she never got too close again, and now, decades later, her very presence still makes these men squirm. She didn't write a book, she didn't leak videos, she didn't give a tell-all, but she didn't have to, because her silence spoke volume. The few lyrics, the few interviews, the diss tracks, they were more than enough to confirm the whispers. Foxy Brown wasn't bitter. She was buried. She wasn't reckless. She was erased. She wasn't wild. She was wounded. And the reason Diddy and JayZ are scared of her is not because she might lie. It's because she might finally tell the truth. So when Wendy Williams said it out loud that JayZ and Diddy fear Foxy, people rolled their eyes, laughed it off. Oh, Wendy being messy again. But maybe, just maybe, she was dead right. Maybe that fear is real. And maybe it's not about what Foxy did, it's about what she survived. Because when a woman walks away from hell still holding the receipts, That's the kind of story no amount of NDAs can stop. And Foxy, she's still standing. And as long as she is, their secrets are never safe.